Yes, welcome to the class of estimation, costing and specification students. So let us see in detail about what are specifications. Okay, specifications describe the nature and the class of work, materials to be used in the work, workmanship, etc., and is very important for the execution of the work. The cost of work depend upon the much on the specification. Specification should be very clear. See, what is the meaning of specification? Basically, specifications means, suppose we have taken one contract of the site, what all materials we need to use in that site, how should be the quality of the work, that all will be discussed in the specification. So that's what the definition of specification says. Specification describe the nature and class of the work, how the work has to be done, and what should be the quality, what should be the quality of the work, materials to be used in the work, which type of materials we have to use in the work, either it should be of very high quality or medium quality or the low quality. Workmanship in the sense, what should whether the work has to be done with skilled worker or unskilled workers, that all comes under workmanship and is very important for the execution of the work. Suppose if the specifications are not clear to you, the estimate of the work will be not accurate. The estimation of the work which you make will be not accurate. The cost of a work depends much upon the specification. The cost of the as you go in detail in the specification, what type of materials you have to use, what is the class of work, what is the workmanship provided. So on that basis you can estimate to a project in a correct manner. So the cost of a work depends much on this specification. Specifications should be clear. Specification should be clear. Specification, generally the classification of specification. Specifications are divided into two: general specification and detailed specification. General specifications, in the sense, in what manner we can define is, we won't be detailing it is in much detail in general specification. Just we will say that so and so material has to be used, this type of work has to be done. So very less details will be provided in general specification, whereas in detailed specification each and everything, each and every factor of the work will be determined. So specification are of two types: general specification. Again, general specifications are depend upon different classes of work, different classes of building. For first class of building, the specifications will be different. For second class of building, the specification is different. For third class of building, the specification is different. For fourth class of building, the specification is different. And we have detailed specification also, and we have detailed specification also. So what is the purpose of giving the specification? Why, before starting a work, why the specification has to be worked out? The cost of an unit quantity of work is governed by its specification. How much, what will be the quantity? If I do the work of this 1 square feet or 10 square feet, the cost of an unit quantity. Suppose I am constructing a wall, what type of brick I has to use, what is the dimension of the brick, what should be the mortar that should be laid between the brick. So the cost of an unit quantity of the work is governed by its specification. Based on that specification also, the cost per unit can be derived. The second one, specification of the work is required to describe the quality and quantity of different materials required for a construction work, and is one of the essential contract documents, which specification forms one of the essential contract documents. Why is it so? Because in the specification, quality and the quantity of the different materials required for the construction work are worked out. Third one, this is also specify the workmanship and the method of doing the work Thus, specification of the work serves as a guide to the supervising staff of a contractor as well as to the owner to execute the work to their satisfaction. To execute their work to their satisfaction. See, engineer gives all this estimate and all things. From the engineer, the person who is executing at the site is contractor, and those who are sponsoring the work is the owner. So, if you provide the specification, the contractor who is working on your site can easily look into that specification and work according to the specification, and the owner who is sponsoring this work will be have clear idea that where my money is going, whether my money is going in a proper place or not. He will be very satisfied if our specifications are in detail. And next, a work is carried out according to its specification and the contractor is paid for the same. A work is carried out according to the specification. Suppose we need to construct a brick wall. Brick walls has to be laid, plastering has to be done, that all will be mentioned in the specification. That all factors will be mentioned in the specification. So, at the end, what happens? Contractor can be paid for the same. By looking into the specification, the value, the bill for the contractor can be easily made. Any change in specification changes the tender rate. Whatever we change, whatever the changes occurs, okay, whatever the changes occurs in the specifications, what happens? There is a change in the tender rate also. As the rate of work is based on the specification, a contractor can calculate rate of various items of work in tender with his procurement rates of materials and labor. The tender rate without specification of work is baseless, incomplete and invalid. Suppose I am the owner, I will be taking the detailed specification of my work from an engineer. If those details are not there in the specification, what happens? The contractor cannot bid for your project. The contractor cannot bid for your project. The contractor cannot bid for your project because he don't know what type of material you need. If he can, suppose I want to construct a building, and if I have not specified that whether there should be a marble, whether there should be a false ceiling, whether there should be a putty on the walls. So, how the contractor knows that whether these all things has to be laid or not? How he will be giving the total estimate of your building? So, for accurate estimate, for accurate tender, for accurate estimate, what we need to do? We need to work on the specification in a very detailed manner. By which what happens? That tender rate, if our specifications are not cleared, tender rate without specification of the work is baseless, incomplete and invalid. The next, specification is necessary to specify the equipment, tools and the plans to be engaged for a work, and thus enables to procure them beforehand. Suppose we are laying the slab, in the specification it should be clearly mentioned that whether RMC has to be used or it has to be laid with the help of miller. So, if in the specification if you specify this RMC or miller point, it is easy for a contractor to procure that equipment. He will be ordering those equipments in advance, so to procure beforehand. And next, the necessary of the specification is to verify and check the strength of material of work involved in a project. Suppose I am an engineer and I have given the specification to the owner who is a layman. He don't know much about the civil engineering thing. He will show the specification to his known person and he will check the quality and he will check the strength and quality of the materials that are involved in a project. So, in this scenario, the bluffing of the engineer, which the engineer bluff the owner, will be if the specification as the if the specification are in the detailed manner, that things can be omitted, So, these are the important purpose of giving this specification. Once again, what are the important purpose for giving the specification? First one, the cost per unit. The cost of an unit quantity of the work will be known. The cost of unit quantity of the work can be known. And specification also describes quality and quantity of different materials required. Quality and quantity of the different materials required. It also helps the supervising staff or a contractor or the owner to execute the work for their satisfaction. It may help let me locate the pointer. It helps the supervising staff, contractor as well as owner to execute the work according to their satisfaction. Work carried according to the specification to the contractor will be the contractor bills will be paid according to the specification on which he is working. So that is also include. Contractor payment will be depend upon the specification. Based on specification, procurement, various items of procurement rates of the materials will be done. So it will be helpful for tendering thing. Okay. Specification is also necessary to procure equipment, tools and plants in advance. Okay. It is also necessary to look at to check whether what type of materials are involved in the project. Factors. The factors on which specifications depends are, first one is nature of the work. The first one on the factors on which the specification is is nature of the work. The next, strength of material. The next, availability of material, quality of the materials. Our specifications are mostly depends upon this factors. These things are mainly considered. For these things to be checked, the specifications are made out. To decide what is the nature of the work, to decide what is the strength of the material, to decide the availability of the material and quality of the materials. These are nothing but the factors on which specifications are depend. So let us, as we know that specifications are of two types, general specifications and detailed specification. First of all, let us see what all is about general specification. So here it is a thing for general specification for first class building. Here we are looking into the general specification of first class building. What all things has to be included in first class building. In first class building, foundation and plinth will be laid. DPC is known as damp proof codes. DPC is damp proof codes of ratio 1:1.5:3 cement concrete of 1 each thickness with standard waterproofing material mixed with cement and 2 coatings of bitumen, and flooring has to be done. This is generally a general specification of first class building. What do we mean by first class building? If you are talking about first class building, in the first class building, foundation and plinth should be there. DPC should be there. What is that? What DPC should contain of? 1:1.5:3 cement concrete of 1 inch thickness and with a standard waterproofing material mixed with cement and 2 coating of bitumen. And flooring has also to be done in the first class building. When we come to the general specification of foundation and plinth, how it varies. How in first class buildings it varies, how in second class building it varies, and how in third class building it varies, and finally fourth class building. So when we talk about this foundation and the plinth, in the first class building, the brickwork has to be done in 1:6 cement is to mortar and 1:4:8 cement concrete. The whatever mortar which you are using in the first class building should be of ratio 1:6, and whatever the concrete which you are using in the first class building should be of 1:4:8. Here 1 represents cement quantity, 6 represent sand quantity. Here in the concrete 1 is cement, 4 is fine aggregate, 8 is coarse aggregate, 1:4:8. When we talk about the second class building, in the second class building, the specification is as follows. First class brickwork with lime mortar over lime concrete. Instead of lime concrete, what we have to use? We have to use lime mortar. Instead of cement, we need to go for lime in second class building. And in the third class building, second class brickwork in lime mortar over lime concrete. So in the third class building, what we use? We use second class brickwork. Whereas in fourth class brick, sun dried or kacha bricks in mud mortar. Just we will be use bricks with mud mortar in fourth class building. So these are generally specification for foundation and plinth in different class of building. So for once again, one in first class building, what we are using? In the first class what we are using? 1:6 first class brickwork, 1:6 in cement and mortar, and 1:4:8 cement concrete which we are using. In the second class, lime concrete is preferred. First class brickwork in lime concrete, not in cement concrete. Okay. In the third class building, second class brickwork will be done with lime concrete, and whereas in fourth class brick, sun dried kacha bricks will be used with mud concrete. Here neither lime nor cement is used. So these are the things about general specification for foundation and plinth. So when we talk about general specification and of dam proof course, in the first class building, which we have to use 1:1.5:3 cement concrete of 1 inch thickness. In the first class building, what should be the cement concrete use? 1:1.5:3. The 1 is for cement, 1.5 is for fine aggregate, 3 is for coarse aggregate. Cement concrete of thickness 1 each with standard waterproofing material mixed with cement and bitumen material, mixed with cement and bituminous material we have to use for waterproofing. In the second class building, 1:2 mortar of 2 centimeter thickness with standard waterproofing material. In second class building, we are not using concrete, we are just using mortar. Whereas in first class building, for dam proof course, we are using cement concrete of ratio 1:1.5:3. Whereas for second class building, we use only mortar of 1:2 with 2 centimeter thickness with standard waterproofing material. In the third class building, 1:2 cement mortar of 2 centimeter thickness with standard material. Basically, we use standard material. In the third class building, we won't go for waterproofing material. Whereas in fourth class building, we don't use dam proof courses. In the fourth class building, we don't use any sort of dam proof courses. Here, DPC dam proof course is not provided. So if you say that first class building, if you write the first class building specification, what is the specification for dam proof course? 1:1.5:3 cement concrete has to be provided with 1 inch thickness with waterproofing material. So when you say first class building, this all specification comes into your dam proof course. When you say I am constructing fourth class building, so in the fourth class building, the contractor does not lay dam proof course. Here in the fourth class building, dam proof course is not at all provided. Now let us see what are the general specification for superstructure. For first class building, the general specification for superstructure is as follows. first class brickwork with 1:6 cement mortar, lintels over doors and windows shall be of RCC. So superstructure, when you say I am constructing superstructure in first class building, superstructure should be of first class building. Then what does it mean? It means that the brickwork which the brickwork which contractor has to do should be of 1:6 cement mortar, and the lintels of RCC should be provided over doors and windows. Whereas in second class building, brickwork should be done in lime mortar, lintel over doors and windows shall be of what? Reinforced brick. It should be of reinforced brick. We will be laying instead of concrete, what we will lay? Reinforced brick we will be laying. Okay, we won't lay concrete over the lintels. Next, in the third class building, this is third class building. In the third class building, second class brickwork in mud mortar has to be done. In the second class brickwork of mud mortar has to be done. Doors and window opening provided with arches of second class brickwork in lime mortar or wooden planks. Either so doors and windows opening should be provided in the form of arches, or wooden planks has to be made, In the fourth class building, sun-dries kacha brick in mud mortar, doors and window opening provided with arches of second class brickwork in lime mortar or wooden plank. Here we do it with sun-dried bricks. Here second class brickwork officially it is done. So these are the nothing but general specification of superstructure. Now let us see what are the general specification for roofing. What are the general specification for roofing? In the first class building, height of room shall not be less than 12 feet. In the first class building, for roofing, the height of building should not be less than 12 feet over RCC slab. Insulation layer should be provided. Insulation layer should be provided in first class buildings. In the second class building, reinforced brick slab with 7.5 centimeter lime concrete terracing over flattened terrace roof over wooden beams. Wooden beams has to be provided, or jack arched roof should be provided, in second class buildings. In the third class building, mud over brick or planks over wooden beams or GI sheet sloping roof has to be provided. In the fourth class building, tile roof over bamboo or wooden supports. Tile roof over bamboo or wooden supports need to be done. In where? For the fourth class building. This is the general specification regarding roofing. When we come for flooring, general specification for the flooring, the first class building, in the first class building, 2.5 centimeter cement concrete over 7.5 centimeter lime concrete. First 7.5 centimeter of lime concrete has to be laid, then above that 2.5 centimeter cement concrete has to be done for flooring in the first class building. When we come for the second class building, 2.5 cement concrete over 7.5 centimeter lime concrete. Veranda floor shall be of brick tile over the lime concrete. In the first class building, all the flooring is of the following thing. But in the second class building, the veranda flooring has to be done separate with brick tile over lime concrete. In the third class building, brick and on edge flooring over well-rammed earth. Whatever our earth surface is there, when after compacting that, brick on edge flooring has to be done. For the fourth class building, kacha floor or earthen floor, just leave it with cow dung lapping. Finishing has to be done with earthen floor or cow dung. That is for 4th class building. These are nothing but general specification for flooring. General specification for flooring. When we come for general specification in finishing, general specification for finishing. So the general specification for finishing are, for the first class building, inside and outside shall be 12 mm cement lime plastered. Okay, for inside and outside 12. For the first class building, the plastering has to be done with 12 mm cement lime. Okay, cement lime, or 1:1:6, or plastered with cement lime plaster. Cement lime plaster of 1:1:6. Inside and outside whitewash with the interior distemper. Interior distemper we have to, with interior distemper and outer whitewash, we need to place. Okay, we need to place plastering both inside and outside with cement lime plastered of 1:1:6 for first class building. When we talk about the second class building, in the second class building, inside and outside shall be 12 mm cement mortar plaster 1:6. Ceiling shall be cement plaster 1:3 inside and outside. This is for second class building. When we come for third class building, for finishing specification, inside and outside shall be plastered with lime mortar and whitewash. There is no specific ratio is given. For the fourth class building, inside and outside shall be waterproof mud plastering. Just we need to do mud plastering from outer wall. Just we have to do the mud plastering from outer side. This is all about finishing, general specification of finishing for first class, second class and the third class building, third class and fourth class building. In the fourth class building, that is a poor construction quality will be maintained inside and out. The greatest superior quality is of first class. Then we will be going for second class building. Then third type of quality is for third class building, and very poor quality will be maintained in fourth class building. When we see about general specification for roads, subgrade, what we call it as subgrade should be well consolidated and compacted with the camber of 1:1:60. What is the meaning of camber? Camber means, in the roads we make camber of 1:60. Here the road surface will be raised. In the center portion of the road surface is raised. That is known as camber. That has to be done in 1:60. Soiling below, minimum 1 feet wide than metal width of road width. 1 feet wider than metal width of road, with overburnt bricks filled up with the sand and 1 inch thick earth lightly compacted. Stone boulders 6 inch thick will be packed at the and compacted earth over it. So this is about soiling thing. Intercoat and top coat. Stone ballast or overburnt brick ballast of 4.5 inch and consolidated as well as compacted to 3 inch. So intercoat and top coat will be made of stone ballast. Intercoat and top coat will be made by stone ballast. And bitumen first coat, stone grid of 20 mm gauge and 220 kg asphalt or tar number 3 and 1.5 comes stone grid per 100 square meter. This is for specification of bitumen first coat. And for bitumen second coat, stone grid of 12 mm gauge at 120 kg asphalt and 0.7 cubic stone gird per 100 square meter. Brick edging, overburnt brick on both sides. We need to place overburnt brick on both side. Miscellaneous, for heavy traffic wearing surface may be provided with cement concrete. If the flow of concrete is very heavy, then what we need to do, we need to provide cement wearing surface of cement concrete. In the subgrade, it is soft or weak, well compacted, thick subbase of inferior material to be used. If subgrade is soft, so above the subgrade, what we need to do, if the subgrade is soft, what we have to do, we need below that subbase of inferior material. The inferior materials has to be compacted well and to be used, so that there should be no settlements in the roads, So this was all about general specification, and we will see detailed specification in detail in the next lecture. Thank you.